Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the 2024 Kawasaki Brute Force 750, the LE, so the top of the line model. It's new for 2024, and they're replacing the 300 with a 450 Brute Force, and I will also have that on this channel. So what we're gonna do in this review is go over this in detail and try to show you a number of things that the other videos aren't showing you. What's coming up is the same idea with the 450 and a comparison on what it feels like to ride from one to the other, because the new 450 isn't going to be like the 300 where it was just rear wheel drive. It's a 4x4 model now, so you have two true 4x4 off-road ATVs available from Kawasaki. Like I said, the 450 isn't quite here yet, but it'll be here soon. So where am I standing? I'm standing right outside Kawasaki Way. Kawasaki Way is at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, Jim Gilbert's Power Sports. Jim Gilbert's Power Sports is the #1 volume Kawasaki dealer in the country, and they give me complete access to all of their vehicles. So if I don't cover what you want to see in this video, make sure you let me know, because I'll come back to this again and again and again in future videos to make sure we have a full video database of everything you could want to know about this vehicle. Let's get going with this review. So before I get too far ahead of myself, I know it's annoying when YouTubers ask for a subscribe or a like or a comment and that kind of thing. I gotta say, most of this channel revolves around motorcycles, so I need your help in growing it around the off-road vehicles, and we're gonna head into snowmobiles and other kinds of things. So do me a favor, I know it sounds silly, but if you're into this kind of stuff, hit that like button. It just gives me a little bit more power to go to people and say, hey, this is what our channel is doing with these types of vehicles, and I wanna show you more and more and do more and more things with them. So, thanks for that. Let's get going. So what have we got here? The Brute Force 750 I've reviewed in the past, the previous model, and it really hadn't changed for a long, long time. And a lot of you were crying out in the comments section that this thing needed an update, and it got one. Now, it may or may not be as extreme as you want, but I think Kawasaki kind of did a smart thing with it. They didn't go all out to something that's just going to be priced way out of the Brute Force's class and make it like everything that you could possibly dream of, but they kept some key things. The biggest thing that the previous Brute Force 750 was known for was a really good, reliable drivetrain and engine and that kind of thing. It's got a V-twin engine with lots of power. It's well built, and when you're dealing with a vehicle that, let's face it, most people kind of abuse, this is not a regular on-road, smooth road commuter. This is something you're taking out and you're just working with it or having some fun with it. This is an important class of vehicle where reliability matters a lot, because if you're stranded in one of these, you tend to be out in the middle of nowhere. If you're out on the trail system or off of a trail system, it can be difficult. So this one keeps that reliability, but they include a number of things. The lighting on the old ones wasn't great. It's way better than this. We're gonna cover all these things. This LE model has a number of features that also, I think, get a little bit overlooked. So we're gonna start covering those. Let's get going by starting at the tires, working our way around, and getting our way to the dash as well. So taking a look at the lower front end, staying away from that new lighting, you've got kind of the basics covered here. You can put a winch on the front if you want to. It's got the plastic bodywork that is backed by the steel, so even if you were to bash into that plastic, you've got some protection there. It might get scraped up, but it'll be all right. Down below here as well, you've got solid shields on the lower A-arms there, so the double A-arm suspension. You've got new tires for this 2024 model, which Kawasaki is claiming better grip all around. Suspension is pretty basic setup, but again, basic is reliable. You've got preload adjustments on all four corners, I should say. And then what you have is sort of the fancy rims on this LE model. Nothing too crazy. The big thing here is on this model, you have the available electronic power steering, which is a variable speed electronic power steering, which is going to make steering nice and easy with this. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you get with the base model, you're going to have that manual steering. I guess in theory, that's one less thing to go wrong, but the electronic power steering is very good on this, makes it light to steer. And again, if you're stuck in mud and that kind of thing, can help you. I mean, you guys have a pretty good idea of what electronic power steering can do, but that variable speed sensitive steering is kind of a nice feature to have with all the basic stuff in here. That's one thing that's a nice step up. Let's move our way back. So the Brute Force 750 is known for its V-twin 750 engine. It's just known for reliability, known for good power, but all around it, you're looking at sort of a mid-sized unit here. Nothing too crazy. No rock rails taking away from your ground clearance, but of course you can do lots of things there. All this lower panel, of course, would be a separate piece. So if you were to crack and break things, it's not replacing the whole bodywork, separate pieces. So they've designed it sort of in a similar vein as the last one. It's easy to be repaired if you do something crazy, but it's also not going to just break on you, because they've designed it to do what it needs to do. So the big thing, unchanged engine, I think that's probably the best thing they could have done, because that was really the best possible reason to buy the previous 750. This one's got a few more reasons to buy it. We'll get to those as we go through this video. Staying below the racks, staying below the lighting line, which of course those are new things this year. We're looking at some of the things in here that are pretty, again, basic. First thing you have, just the basic suspension. You've got all the typical things. You've got the wheels being the furthest point back other than the high up bodywork. So I mean, you're gonna climb on and off anything you need. Independent suspension, weight is very centralized and very forward, which is what you want for handling, for overall balance and feel. It does have a availability to put a hitch on there. It could tow 1,250 pounds, so that's quite a bit of weight for a unit like this, and that allows you to get a lot of work done. So if you're buying this for fun, you can justify it for work, and that makes a good, you know, maybe sales pitch to the people that you live with and share finances with. Right over here, you do have wider tires again, and again, that new pattern, that new tread. Kawasaki's claiming better traction on all the surfaces, or the general surface that you're going to go over on this. Again, each suspension piece here does have the preload adjustment, or each at the end of the shock there has a preload adjustment on all four corners, so you can adjust that preload all the way around. And the rest is, again, simple stuff that works well. So we've covered some basics. Now let's start taking a look at some of the real new stuff. The old one had poor lighting. This one's got much better lighting. So we're just going to turn it to the on setting. We're not going to start the vehicle up, but hopefully you can see those daytime running lights coming on at the top of that strip there. Basically, if your headlights are off and the vehicle is on, you have always some level of light. It's not enough to be super distracting. The camera doesn't always catch them perfectly, but hopefully when I turned it on there, you can see those daytime running lights on in the front. Now, to get those same type of lights in the rear, we'll talk about that when you get there, but you have to turn the lighting system on. So we'll talk about that in a second. The other thing that's nice is when you turn the full lighting system on, which we're gonna do right now, to the first click there, what have we got? Just the headlights there, and then we've got the high beams right there. So when you go onto the headlights there and the high beams here, you can see that the top center light turns on with your high beams. Now, what I really like about that, and actually this is not showing too well, those are aimed lower right now, so I can see those clearly in the bright white light, but the center headlight is probably aimed pretty close to the camera there. That center light is really nice to have, which you didn't have on the previous brute force. And what that allows you is these ones light the trail, and you can hopefully see my hands there kind of lighting up. I guess I can't get the angle right on the camera, but there's definitely light there coming away that the camera can't see. But this one, as you turn your handlebar, that turns with you. So it allows you to stay in a stationary position and light up the trail around you, while these two lights are lighting up just the trail in front of the vehicle, which is kind of nice to have. One other feature worth mentioning on this top of the line LE version is you do have the standard body colored handguards out here, which are really nice to have, especially out on the trail. So you've got that. You've also got different racks and storage, but let's stay with the lighting, go to the rear for a second. We'll show you what we've got back there. So taking a look at the rear of the unit here, remember we mentioned earlier your daytime running lights are on in the front, where you can see there's no lighting back here at all until you turn your headlights on. Once you hit that first switch of headlights, instead of having the entire light up like a car might with a lower light level, you have these daytime running lights. So we'll just turn them off again for a second, turn them back on again for a second. So that's again on with your headlights, and then as you hit the brake, of course, you end up with the full, let me just lock that brake on, you end up with the full rear lighting there. I can tell you that on camera this doesn't show the same way it does in person, but this really modernizes the unit, makes it look really sharp. It's quality lighting, good coloring as well. It's hard to show the coloring on camera, it doesn't show it perfectly as I'm looking through the camera right now, but it's very modern, very precise type of lighting. It looks really good. The next thing I want to talk about is storage. Now the racks on these, basically I think the exact same. They hold, well, they're not the same look. We'll talk about that in a second, but capacity wise, it holds 88 pounds on the front. It holds 176 pounds on the rear. So that I believe is the exact same sticker. It's the sticker right there on the side, and there's one on the rear as well. That shows you that. I believe that's the same rating, but these are new racks, and there's a couple things new about them. First of all, if you don't get this top line model, you don't have these plastic pieces here, or they'll probably not call them plastic for Kawasaki. There'll be some sort of, ABS or whatever it is term, but the point is it's plastic-like up here. If you don't have this top line model, the plastic isn't there, and then they talk about the racks themselves are new, and that makes sense. The shape of this is new, but then this plastic piece or those plastic attachments come on top, and they also come here with this Kawasaki quick release system. So what you can do is get the Kawasaki accessories that mount front and back on that quick release system, but you have to move up to any of the models that have this plastic type piece. That's sort of how you can tell the difference. But then there's also, without that, a lot of storage here. So the hardest one for me to get undone is this one right here. I can't remember which way to turn it, but that opens up. It doesn't quite come out. Let's just flip the camera around. We'll show you that from a different angle. So looking again at that front storage compartment here, not a whole lot in here. They've got some owner's manuals in here, just kind of some depth here. I wouldn't call this really waterproof stuff, but you could certainly put stuff in there as you wanted to. So we'll drop that owner's manual and that kind of thing back in there. Again, a little finicky to get this done, but it's a very simple plasticky kind of feel to it. And I think I'm turning it the wrong way. Let's see which way. We got to go that way. Yeah, so turn it like that and it locks in place, no problem. No problem once you know how to do it. Down here is also another storage piece that's nice to have, and this one has that sort of seal on it. So again, simple stuff the way Kawasaki does this. Less to break, a simple rubber type strap. This one does have a gasket on it, so this is where you're going to be able to keep things that have a little bit more water resistance in there. There's a nice foam pad there with a little rubber edge here. So that, again, it's pretty deep in there. You can sort of see how big it is on the front there. That's going to give you some covered water resistant type storage in the front. And then there's one more spot on the other side. Let's show you that right now. So over here on the right side of the vehicle, you can see that one other spot, it's open as well. And this is just rubbery as well, so you can take that on or off. You can see this is really good at holding pine needles for us right now. It's right next to the ignition key, which if you're looking for it on the brute force is off here to the right side, right in front of the gear shift, which is kind of a logical location once you think about it. Key on there, gear shift right there. It's all done with the same hand. If you think about as you would be riding it, key on, gear shift right in the same spot. So a little bit different than having it centrally located, but it's a very logical spot to put it. So that's your storage all in the front area without adding any Kawasaki accessories or other accessories. Let's talk about some of the mechanical pieces of this and the controls. All right, so I'm zoomed in here. We'll just go full wide angle so you can see where we are, and a little bit in there, you can sort of see the handlebar. We're coming in a little bit further just to show you what we've got here. This is one of the things that I really like about the brute force. So first of all, just basic stuff. You've got the handbrake there. It actually rolled away, hopefully. Yeah, we're still in the camera there. But when you pull this finger piece for the handbrake, you can pull it at the one click, but if you pulled that brake tighter, there's actually more clicks in there. In other words, as your brake sort of wears or things change or whatever's going on, you can always find a click that suits. A lot of ATVs only have that one position of the brake, parking brake, which I know doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's, again, Kawasaki thinking ahead. As things wear, as things get involved or click or stuff is in there, dirt, whatever, you've got the first click and the second click, so you can really have that parking brake locked on. Now, a lot of people want to know what this lever is here, because a lot of time the front differential on all these other modern units have a switch instead that just locks it on or not. And this is a front differential control, so it's kind of like a variable lock. And what I love about this is the simplicity. You want to lock the front differential for a little bit, you lock it on, you release it. You want to just give it a little bit of power, a lot of power. It's like a clutching type system. And it's such a reliable, simple system that allows you to lock that front differential when you need it, to release it when you don't need it. Instead of hitting a button, waiting for an electronic piece to sort of click in place, it's a very simple system that allows you to really get that front diff going, release it, get it back on again. It really helps when you're stuck in mud, when you need that front differential on or off. It's just such a reliable and logical way to do things. So I really appreciate that they kept that from the previous model into this. The rest, pretty basic controls. Let's show you those. So staying with the same handlebar here, you've got those headlight switches that we talked about. Remember, the daytime running lights are on no matter what. Even when it's in off position, you can go one up for headlights, one more for the high beams, which is nice to have. Green button's your start button, red button's your kill switch or turning it off kind of thing. And then you've got that override button, which we're gonna talk more about that button and demonstrate it in a future video. So stay tuned for that, or if you have questions, let me know that that's something that you're interested in. Let's take a look at the dash really quickly. Hopefully we can turn this on and make it work from here. I haven't even tried this yet, but we'll, hopefully you can see it. Now again, this is a demo unit. It's got a little bit of dust on there, so filming a screen anytime is difficult. We're gonna leave the vehicle off for a second just to show you the dash, and yeah, we've got it kind of enough. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit more. So what you have over here is a pretty basic, but now digital dash, and digital, of course, is the way to go. I think Kawasaki could have added a few more like graphics in here. I'm just not sure that that's what everybody wanted. I'm sure they did some research on that. 1 kilometer on the odometer right now. You can cycle through. You've got trip A and trip B, which is 1.5 kilometers, and then 1 kilometer there. You show you that your orange rear differential is locked on. You've got a fuel gauge over on the right, speedometer in the middle, clock in the middle. You've got battery voltage right there, and then you've got hours. So hour A and hour B, just like you have trip A and trip B. And that's basically it. Now, a couple things I like. You do have on this side here a neutral light and a reverse light, and there's warning lights for all kinds of different things for your transmission, battery, other kinds of things, oil, and electronic power steering, which of course right now doesn't work because the vehicle's off. But it is nice to have that little reverse light. Neutral light is green, reverse light is red. So nice little dash, nice update. Let's flip around to the other handlebar and show you what we've got over there. Taking a look at the throttle side, pretty simple stuff here as well. You have your throttle, of course, over here, the brake over there, and then you do have the four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive switch. So nice, convenient location, really clear and easy to use. Even with gloves on, it's gonna just be easy to feel and rub up and down to get there. So it's very simple to use, no matter if your hands are slippery, muddy, whatever it is. Just a simple control. And that's really what this is all about, is simplicity. Let's show you what it looks like with me on this thing so you have a sense of the size, and then we'll talk about who it's for and who it's not for. So as we take a look at the size of this, I'm about 6 feet tall. Jumping across this is super simple. Nice big floorboard area here. What I like about this is it feels to me like it's kind of still in that mid-size kind of unit. There are some very, very large ATVs out there that kind of lose the playfulness that the mid and smaller type units have. So this is obviously built as a work-capable machine, but with that engine in there, it really makes it a fun-capable machine. So it's kind of that in-betweener, that they do-it-all kind of thing. And when they have a do-it-all machine, it never does everything great. So what I would say is this gives most people all the sport you could want. What I like about it is it's got that kind of flexibility that your body weight is enough to really move this thing around. Some of these units are so big or they're sprung so firmly that you really can't transfer the weight to get it moving and get it out of mud, but it also has the capability, 1,250 pounds of towing capacity, plenty of carrying capacity. You've really got the capability of doing things. And then you combine that with what Kawasaki's been known for. They didn't go out and fully redesign this in a way that, hey, reliability becomes a question mark. You've got pieces and parts in here that are known for their reliability. And like I said, in a unit that is out there in difficult terrain, I wouldn't say being abused, but definitely ridden hard, that's what these are. This is a really key piece to have something that you know is reliable, that you know is going to work very well for you. So of course, anything mechanical can break, but as a rule, these are far more reliable than some of the competition. Now, if you're looking for a second seat here, you can get a second seat kind of aftermarket compatible thing here where it works its way up. And I would say you have enough room for that. You can certainly create enough room here. It is a single seater as equipped, but it does have a lot of room. And what I like too is when you need to shift your body weight around, you're still on that seat no matter which way you want. So again, the ability to feel nimble and sporty, but also the ability to have as a good working machine, this thing does work really well. And again, I do like that this has those front hand guards in the body color, a little bit of flex to them, which allows you to hit things and just have them bounce off instead of right away crack, which is what you want on a unit like this. So let's talk about who this is for and who it's not for. What I love about Kawasaki is they seem to have an understanding of who their buyers are, and what they're doing is taking their buyers and offering them something better than they've had in the past. Now, one of the things I always talk about is you can never buy a vehicle, especially when it comes to power sports, based on the spec sheet. You may want to do that with a vehicle, like an on-road vehicle, but something like a motorcycle, any kind of power sport vehicle, something like an ATV, you don't want to buy purely from the spec sheet because you're probably buying it because you want to enjoy it. And yes, for work, certain specs matter, like the towing capacity and that kind of thing. But if you want to enjoy it, you have to make sure that you're buying something that will be enjoyable. And that's where I think Kawasaki hit the nail on the head with this. By not going crazy with the technology, you're losing a segment of the market that maybe wants all of the best technology. What I do find though is they've given Kawasaki fans and people who just want something that's basic, reliable, but also updated enough to be competitive with the current set. And that's what Kawasaki's done. They've jumped themselves right back into the heart of the market with something that is priced competitively, something that is physically capable compared to all of its competitors. And now you've got something with the updated lighting, good comfort, good attachments and storage and that kind of thing. They're giving people what they want in an ATV. And I think the heart of the market is looking for something exactly like this, and Kawasaki has knocked that out of the park. So again, is this for people wanting everything in the latest and greatest and the biggest and the best? No, this is for the heart of the market to have a really strong option to do everything you need without having to give you the headaches of some of the extra stuff that can go on with headache-ridden machines. So there you go, there's my review of the Brute Force 750. Like I said, there's a 450 coming and it's replacing that 300. The 300 was rear-wheel drive only. It's now gonna be a four-wheel drive or 4x4. And that means that we have two competitive Kawasaki units that have both been redesigned regularly, which it's been a while since we've had that. And I'm looking forward to reviewing that as well. Lots more to come in this lineup. Do me a favor, if you're interested in it, leave a like, write a comment, do the thing. YouTube, guys. You guys know how this works, because that'll just help me keep coming back and getting more information, more stuff for you. We will be riding them in the next videos.